I'm Jenna Lee, and John, you bring up a great point. What will the president say about the actions thus far in the 6 weeks of the rollout?
Right. Thus far, not much indication from the White House that he thinks there's a great deal wrong.
So we'll see. We'll see what he has to say. If there'll be some sort of apology, that we might be going too far with that. But how will he address it? How will he frame it? That is the big question today. In the meantime, let's get to some of what's happening not far from the White House at the House Energy and Commerce Subcommittee. There's a hearing that is dealing with more of the problems related to this rollout, as well as the troublesome website. It must be a busy day on Capitol Hill, where we find our chief congressional correspondent, Mike Emanuel, who is covering this side of the story, as well as reaction that we're getting some fresh reaction, Mike, from lawmakers about what they're expecting from the president. How much of what the president will say today is geared towards the people inside the building where you are right now?
Jenna, no question it has a big part to do with that, because White House officials have gotten an earful from their Democratic allies here on Capitol Hill who are looking for a fix for their constituents who have been hearing from their insurance companies. They're being canceled from their insurance policies that they liked. And so what we understand from Democratic sources is that the president's going to announce an administrative fix that will say, if your policy is being canceled, the insurance company can give it back to you. You can be covered by that policy, even if it doesn't meet the Obamacare standards. Now, that seems to open up a can of worms in other regards of the health care law. We can get to more of that, but we got a sense that something was in the works from House Democratic leader Nancy Pelosi.
Stay tuned and just see what it could be. An administrative fix. It could be a legislative fix. I would rather it be done administratively, because that can be done much more quickly without any accompanying agendas.
The backstory is that the House is set to vote tomorrow on a bill from Republican Fred Upton, which says you can keep your insurance policy, and by the way, the insurance companies can continue selling those policies to new customers. A lot of Democrats saw that as undermining the president's health care law. So House Democrats and Senate Democrats were saying, give us a fix, give us something that we can give our constituents, Jenna.
And that's something we should point out, Mike, isn't it? That just because the president says something can happen now, that doesn't necessarily mean that there's legislation to back that up. Meaning, if you call your health insurance company suddenly today, if this is indeed the announcement we get that you can keep a canceled plan, it doesn't appear like there's any teeth that would force the health insurance company to offer that back to you. So you mentioned a little bit about what the Republicans are saying. What is the latest from them as far as what fixes they'd like to see with the health care law?
Well, Senate Republicans have been taking to the Senate floor all morning, laying out the stories of their constituents and essentially the horror stories of people who had pre-existing conditions, who had health care they like, now being canceled. Here's Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell.
I'll start off with James Dodson. He's a constituent of mine from Owensboro. James has type 2 diabetes. He recently got a letter informing him that his high-risk pool coverage would expire next month.
Meanwhile, House lawmakers are prepping for a vote on the floor tomorrow on the Fred Upton bill that would allow people to keep their current insurance and also allow the insurance companies to continue selling those policies, really competing with Obamacare. Another leading House Republican offered this prediction.
I think it will pass the House. I don't know, whether it will be considered in the Senate. I have my doubts about that. So I tend to think this law is going to continue to have more problems as people, try to engage and get on. And I think the backlash is going to continue into 2014.
So the breaking news of the hour is we expect the president will announce grandfathering of existing insurance policies to many Americans who have gotten cancellation notices, while the House is preparing to vote on a separate measure tomorrow. Jenna?
Another busy day. Mike, thank you very much.
Sure.
So we are now 30 minutes away, we are told, from a statement from the president on Obamacare after the White House finally released some very dismal enrollment numbers. The administration missing its mark to enroll people in Obamacare by a wide margin. Just over 106,000 Americans in total have signed up nationwide. This with the president already facing a revolt from his fellow Democrats after millions of Americans had their insurance plans canceled. So what's the president going to say just moments from now? Let's get into it with Juan Williams.